All right, guys, I'm live here. Hey, I'm live here, and hope everybody's doing great. I've got Jonathan going through the 3-day algo in conjunction with the Monday high, Monday low. I think people don't understand the power of what we developed, and if you'll put pen to paper, you'll find out why this class is long. Why this class is long uh, on an apple spread. We did an apple spread. Didn't turn out very well, but we got it. We'll make money eventually on it. But we did an apple spread. We did silver. Take a look at silver, PAAS. These are three big stocks that basically taking these trades, learning what they've learned, they've got the routine down. I've asked Jonathan today to go through a key piece of information. Now, tomorrow, I'm planning on going through a tape reading approach because if you get tape reading down, then you got a missing piece of finding these early movers and making it. Okay? That is the important part. Everybody got that? Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So I really want you to pay attention to what Jonathan's about to cover. It's really important as a piece of training that I like to review this time of year. And I wish y'all could be here with us. This class is fantastic. Uh, again, um, I think everyone, to a man and woman, said they've learned so much and they got confidence going up the ladder by being here in person. So that's what I got to say. Jonathan, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Tom. And I know you guys are having fun down there. I wish I could be there. But today is a great lesson, and it's really critical. I'm happy that Tom said he's going to cover tape reading because that is a missing piece. That's kind of the final leg of this whole process, and it's might be a missing piece for several of you. So be sure to be here tomorrow. Learn about tape reading with Tom. There is risk involved in trading, of course. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Doesn't matter your skill level. There's always risk involved in trading. Today we're talking about, well, this is Trend and Trade for December, every day at 11. Go to detachtrader.com/TNT if you want to be involved in any trades. So you're here. If Tom issues a trade, you get the trade in the chat. But if you want the updates on the trades, essentially is how that works. We track everything in the TNT program. Today's topic is how to use the FTD algo, but that's just the first part of the process. The next part is adding in the week start, high and low, the week start algo. All right. Yeah, I'll post a link to the slides. Give me 1 second here, Jim. All right, slides incoming, and I'll give everybody a chance to get them on your own screen for a moment if you want to follow along. Might be easier to see on your own screen. All right, so the first question is what is the FTD algo? If you're brand new to DTI or never heard of the FTD algo, it stands for first 3 days. FTD stands for first 3 days, and it's the first three trading days of the month. All right, thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Now, what do? We mark the high and low from the first three trading days. And again, it's not the first 3 calendar days, it's the first three trading days of the month. And by marking the high and low, it gives us a process to start the month, but it also reminds us that the importance of the month open and the change of month. All right, the change of month can bring a change of trend. So it reminds us that during the first 3 days, it's kind of a waiting period. We'll do some short-term trading, of course, always doing short-term trading, intraday or, 72 hours or less type trading. But the first 3 days in the process we follow reminds us that with a new month comes a possible new trend development, and you have to kind of wait and see that trend develop. You've probably heard at the opening bell that you shouldn't just start trading right away, right? Give it about 30 minutes. That's why there's a 30-minute reference bar there to see how the overnight orders, whatnot, shake out. The same process follows for a larger time frame, and that's where this 3-day algo for each month comes into play. So we mark the high and low from the first 3 trade days of the month. And this gives us a great trade or frame to trade from. So it works similarly. Everybody can relate to a 30-minute bar. If you get above a 30-minute bar, you're looking at higher prices, higher high, higher low. You can see those red marks on the screen. Or to the downside, on a 30-minute bar, you see lower low, lower highs. The tape is saying we're going lower. Well, the FTD high and low works the same way. You have a high number, and now that even though that high number, you have to do a little work to get it, right? You have to look at 3 days worth of data to get that FTD high and the FTD low. But it works the same way. We have a high-low frame, and we can trade from that. A bullish above the FTD high, of course, and we want to be bearish below the FTD high. This formulates our thinking on whatever stock, actually starting with the S&P 500 first, and the NASDAQ and the Dow, all the indexes, or it might be gold, or it might be crude, and then we narrow it down to individual stocks. We'll look at silver. Tom mentioned silver a little while ago. Silver futures are very strong. They're breaking out. And silver stocks, of course, are also breaking out. So AGQ is a silver fund, I guess it is. I think it's leveraged as well, 2x. And other stocks like Pan American Silver. We'll show that in just a little bit. But this is the FTD algo. This is a pretty neat little graphic we have here. And of course, whenever you're trading, you have to have a stop, right? Never trade without a stop. The good thing about framing the market with the high-low frame is you always have a stop on the other side of the frame. So if you get long above the FTD high, your stop goes below the FTD low. All right. Or if you get short below the FTD low, your stop goes above the FTD high. So whatever time frame you're trading on, we like to establish a frame. This gives us a point of entry, a trigger price, and it gives us a stop loss, an exit if we're wrong price. Now, before we go on, does anyone have any questions on that? Are you brand new to the FTD algo? Let's see here. What I want to do real quick, I'm going to create a poll. Let's see, save as webinar poll. This the one? Yeah. Answer this poll for us. I want to see how many people here. Is this your first time hearing about the FTD algo? Let's see how many yeses we get. I would imagine most of it is no's, but hopefully we have a decent amount of yeses because we do think this will help you trading immensely on a monthly basis. It goes a step further than just following the monthly open. All right, so we have a few people here, and we want to welcome you in. A great question in the chat. The FTD algo is good for the month, Dave. Good for the month. We have an FTD stocks spreadsheet that I'll share at the very end. Don't let me forget about doing that because I don't think it's on the slides. So if someone could please remind me at the very end to give you the spreadsheet link. We have a spreadsheet, and you're welcome to have the link with a bunch of stocks that Tom has interest in for the month. And that's good for the month. And then we recycle it, and we'll go on to a new month. All right, you will go into the new month next in January. Now, January is pretty unique because we have some other indicators that we go through. So January is always an awesome month. Looking at the full year prediction from Tom, which is incredible. And then we have the first 5 days. We learned that from the Stock Traders Almanac, and then we incorporate our 3-day algo as well. So January is always a great month. So the next question, I don't want to move too fast, so just type into the chat if you have any questions. Kind of rolling along here. Next question is, when do we act on the FTD algo? Well, we like to wait until the first Tuesday after the breakdown occurs, because this incorporates, why Tuesday? It incorporates our week start high and low. Now, when I said algo here, it's not necessarily, we don't usually call it an algo, but it works the same, very similar fashion here. The week start high and low is typically from Monday's market. All right, so we're just utilizing one trade day to form the high and the low. And the first day of the week is typically on Monday. All right. Sometimes the first trade day is on Tuesday. Whenever we have a Monday holiday, the first trade day of the week will be on Tuesday. So we'll use Tuesday's high and low to form our frame for the week. So the process works just the same. It's just on a shorter time frame. All right. So we go from a monthly basis, where we have the first 3 trade days, and above that 3-day high, we want to be thinking long for the month. Below that 3-day low, we want to be thinking short for the month. Then we narrow it down to a weekly basis, and we call it the week start high and low. And above the week start high, typically Monday, we're going to be thinking bullish strategies for the week, right? Remember, short-term time frame, about 72 hours worth as max. And below the week start low, below the Monday's low, we're thinking bearish for the week on that stock. It could be the whole index if the S&P is setting up that way, bullish or bearish. And of course, if the S&P is setting up bullish, we want to target bullish stocks. Or if the S&P is setting up bearish, we want to target bearish stocks. Now, once again, we have a stop already in place because we have a high-low frame. If we're going long above the week start high, well, our stop can go below the low. And vice versa, if we go short below the low, our stop goes above the week start high. Any questions on this? It's the same process. Notice it's the same process, just a narrowed time frame. Now, that narrowed time frame is important to remember when you get into option strategies, because options have an expiration, and we'll talk about that here in just a bit. So the question on everybody's mind, of course, is, how do you trade this? What type of trading strategy is best to use with the FTD algo? Well, we prefer to use monthly options. Now, it could be call options or put options outright, or it could be spreads. All right, we have a couple of insights that we use from Tom. First of all, I got to go out at least 30 days. Whenever you're trading long options, right? If you're an experienced trader trading maybe off the week start, intra-week, then you can use short term. We'll talk about that next. But when you're trading for the month, all right, you want to use longer dated expiration options because you're trying to catch a monthly trend, right? Got to use some good logic with this. So go out at least around 30 days or more. 30 to 45 days is typically good. If you're buying outright options, I said buy call options, but it really should say call or put options, all right? For $5 or less, all right? For $5 or less. That's kind of an old insight from Tom that he's utilized for many, many years. Doesn't like to pay more than $3 to $5 for an option, all right? So $5 or less. If you can't find an option like that out 30 to 40 days, it depends on the stock and, the price of the stock, of course. But you can always trade call spreads, all right? We usually target anywhere between 20, 40, 60% or higher on these monthly options because it's a 30 to 45 day to expiration trade. You're catching a monthly trend. You can try to let it run some. Now we always take some initial profits around 20%. And if you study the options market based on our methodology, seasoned traders with DTI here know and understand that Tom's timing is very, very good at hitting that 20-25% mark over and over again. Not every trade runs, right? There's several that do run, but that's why we always take profits that run that 20% mark. Let's get some money in the pocket finance our trade, make it to where we can't lose money, because we know that not every trade is going to be a big winner. Right? P asked a great question in the chat. He says, do we go out the same time to expiration if we're trading a call option versus a call spread? And yes, we do. We use the same expiration whether we're trading a long call or we're trading a call spread. Because remember, the call spread, trading the spread is utilized really to lower our cost of entry. All right, we lower our risk by doing that. But we're still trying to catch a monthly trend, right? So we got to use the same time to expiration. We usually use 5 or 10 wides. All right, so to give you an idea. Now, this process of using the 3-day algo is what we use exclusively in the Afterburner Alerts program. That's a fairly new program from Tom, doing exactly what we just mentioned, going out at least 30 days of expiration, buying call option for 5 or less, or buying call spreads if the cost of the options is too much. We layer our targets. We get out at 20%, 40 to 60% and higher. And we've had winners recently, 16 and 27% on GM. That trade is still open, so that has the potential of paying us more. 22% on Western Digital, and then a good month there. We hit 3 targets on NVIDIA of 24%, 46%, and 66%. And Marge, yes, this also applies to puts. Sure does. Yep. So I'm going to update the slide. A moment ago, it said buy call options. It really should say buy call or put options. And here, let's just go ahead and update that so there's no confusion. I'd have to lower the font on the texts. Yeah. Here we go. And let me just repost that slide link again. I think my computer is running a bit slow, so bear with me here. The next question, what type of trading strategy is best to use with the week start algo? Well, naturally, you'd think we have a program for that, and we do. We take a little bit more aggressive approach with short-term options. We're trading options that expire 10 to 14 days. The reason why we lower the time and feel like we can lower the time to expiration is because we're trading within a 72-hour window. We're getting in on Tuesday, and we're out no later than Friday in the Tuesday Power Play program. And we're a little bit more aggressive in our targets on the options because it is shorter term. It's just a 72-hour trade with less time to expiration as well. We're targeting around 10 to 40% on average, generally speaking, on these options. It's what we use for the Tuesday Power Play program. The Tuesday Power Play program. And we had recent winners in Tuesday Power Plays. That's got a typo, but we had 7% winner on NVIDIA in one day, 15% on Tesla in one day, and 28% on AMD. So you can see they're more aggressive. There's less time for the trade to run. So we're not expecting those 60% winners, although we've seen stocks that move that fast. So basically, when you're trading off the week start algo, it's a shorter term time frame. So if you like short-term trading, then trading off the week start algo, you're going to love to do that on a Monday basis. So add it to your repertoire. Mark the high and low of Mondays. We get a Monday high breakout, then the stock is going to try to trend for the week higher. And you already have your stop in place below Monday low. Anytime any kind of stock makes a higher high, right? Maybe it makes a new high intraday. If it flips around and takes out the low of the day, flat out, that trade's not working. See how this works, right? Your stop is already in place. And that's the beauty of trading with a frame, right? So if it's a new concept to you trading with a frame, high-low frame, then add it to your, trading strategy. It's only going to help having a stop already in place for you to tell you whether you're using the actual stop loss order or just an alert to tell you something's going wrong. you need to do that. We call it the trigger price for entry and the ABO all bets off price for getting out, or if you have time left to expiration, you can hedge your position. That's for another day's education. But Tuesday power plays. Now, we do have a video on Tuesday power plays we're going to play. Looks like there's a 30-day special running. All right, 30-day special running. We have the Fed this week. Anytime the Fed has a meeting, that's tomorrow. We don't trade Tuesday power play. So get on board now. We'll start your subscription next week. So whatever day that is on Monday, it'll go 30 days from that point forward. We'll have a fresh new Tuesday power plays next week. Let me tell you a little bit about it. On Tuesday morning, you get 5 stocks from Tom with trigger numbers, right? Trigger numbers and breakdown numbers. And he might be 4 bullish and 1 bearish, or he might be 3 bullish and 2 bearish, or he might be 5 bullish if he's really bullish to market. Or he could be 5 bearish. Unlikely for him to be 5 bearish, but you get 5 stocks with triggers and ABOs and targets. We give you all that on Tuesday morning. And the way it works is if the stock triggers on Tuesday, we get in and we target our targets and we set a stop loss to get out if the thing reverses. All right. And then, but these are, again, reminder, trading off the week start algo, the week start high and low, it's a 72-hour trade. So it's a short-term trade. You got to know that going into the trade itself. I want to let all you know inside the Live Trading with T-Buzz program that we are going to do a deeper dive into the first 3-day algo. We're going to teach you some more Cadillac style trades. Tom calls them Cadillac style trades off the week start high and low as well. So look forward to that this afternoon. We're going to do a deep dive on the FTD algo. You can see just how powerful it is. And then if you like short-term trading, right, especially with maybe trading credit spreads, trading for premium, we're going to teach you how to do that with the week start on a weekly basis at today's Live Trading with T-Buzz. Claire asked a great question. I need to post the FTD spreadsheet as well. Thanks, Claire. But Claire says, how can I tell what the low was on Monday in the roadmap? So we're going to go to roadmap here in just a moment. Let me make sure that link is posted into the chat. Let's see. I don't think that's been done yet. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you want to test drive the TPP Tuesday Power Plays program, it's a great program. Test drive it for 30 days. We won't start your subscription until next week when we have a fresh new rotation issued on Tuesday morning. Let's go to the roadmap. Actually, got a couple more reminders not to forget about posting the FTD spreadsheet. So let me just go ahead and do that, and I will add it to one of the slides. Tom mentioned Micron too. I think I need to add Micron to this sheet so everybody has Micron on there. But here comes the FTD spreadsheet. All right, there's a spreadsheet. Let me drag this over. Should be able to see that, I think now, yeah. Yeah. So you can see at the top, I update the spreadsheet. I try to update it every morning. It was updated this morning at 9:44 a.m. Eastern. And the way the spreadsheet works is very similar to the way our trade tracker works on the roadmap, which I'll show you in just a moment. But you're looking for this above FTD high or below FTD low. Notice the week starts on here. This is focused for the monthly 3-day high and low process. If you don't have roadmap, this is a good spreadsheet to keep. All right. If you have roadmap, you can build your own trade tracker, which I'll show you in a moment. But you're looking for like this right here on silver. It says long. Why does it say long? Because we're above the first 3-day high. As of this morning at 9:44 a.m. Eastern time, silver futures were trading at 59.74. And if you look over here, the FTD high was 59.65. So that's why it says long. Now bonds say short. Why do bonds say short? Well, when I updated the spreadsheet, 115.19 was the price of bonds, and the FTD low was 115.28. So bonds were below their FTD low. Now, this is a good point. because whatever stock you're trading, it relates to something. Most stocks relate to the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. If it's a Dow stock, it relates to the Dow. But if it's TLT, of course, it relates to bonds. ZB is the 30-year bond and TLT is the 20-year note, but all the same, TLT is pretty much what everybody uses in the stock market to trade bonds. I shouldn't say everybody. It's very, very common to trade when you're trading bonds. If you want to use an ETF vehicle, we use TLT. Silver. So again, if silver says long, if I scroll down here, we're going to see when we go live that when I posted this morning, actually, I think my spreadsheet's broken. Yeah, sure is. Let me do this. Missing some formulas here. There we go. Let's just drag it all the way down, make sure we're good all the way to the bottom here. Yeah. You can see here with silver long, then your silver stocks should be long too. There's AGQ long. Now, we're going to go live in a moment. Remember, this was updated at 9:44 a.m. Eastern Time. At this point, that's almost 2 hours ago. So you can see 2 hours ago, Pan American Silver was trading at 45.27. But you have to ask yourself, is silver futures and a silver ETF are breaking out above the FTD high? Should a silver-related stock do the same? Should you be looking for a silver-related stock to do the same? And the answer, of course, is yes. So let's go to a live market here. What I'm about to show you is our roadmap software, and it's a feature Tom created called the Trade Tracker. The way it works, let's just collapse this down. All right, before we collapse it down, look at Pan American Silver right here. Now it has green across the board, all right? It looks like our strongest stock, green across the board. It actually just made a new 5-day and 10-day high. You saw green across the board. There it is, making another 5-day and 10-day high. So it's very rare for all of these to be green because we're not typically right at a new high on a 5-day or 10-day basis. Typically, we make a new high and pull back, which is what we just did. But in the instance that you're looking at this trade tracker and it's making new highs as we, look at it and speak, it will literally be green across the board, painting a very clear picture. Now, what we typically just look for are these first 6 columns, and I'll explain what they are. The first column is the monthly open for Pan American Silver. That was 46.57. The next column is 48.05. That's the last price, excuse me. And because the last traded price is above the monthly open box is green. So basically the way the green and red works on this table is if the last traded price is above that key number, the box is painted green. If it's below it, the box is painted red. So if we just narrow our focus down to the monthly open, the last traded price, the 3-day high and low, FTD high, FTD low, HH stands for highest high, and LL stands for lowest low. Then we have the week start, high and low. On Pan American Silver, you can see the 3-day high was 46.60. We're above that, so it's green. The 3-day low was 43.61. Of course, if we're above the high, we also have to be above the low. To start the week, we had a 44.85 high and a 43.42 low. So we're green across the board. And the last traded box, you see some are yellow, some are red, some are green. That's all based on the 3-day high and low. Because we're above the 3-day high, the last traded box is green. So we try to keep things visually, easy to interpret. We're literally looking for 6 greens across the board or 6 reds across the board for short. And you can see clearly silver, very green. AGQ and PAAS are both silver-related stocks. Tom mentioned Micron earlier. Here's Micron. I added it to the very bottom. You can see the picture painted there on Micron. This is our trade tracker from the Roadmap software. Just an excellent feature. Again, we use it on a monthly basis, but it's got that week start added in, incorporated to it. So you can add in the Monday high and low to your trading as well. Steve's asked a great question in the chat. He says, for the highs and lows, like for the first 3 days high and low, is that on an open and close basis or does it include the maximum and minimum? So we always include the wicks. We get that question a lot. Do you include the wicks, which is the actual high and low from the bar? We always include that data. That's very important to our analysis. Highs and lows are very important. We look at the open, we look at the high, and we look at the low. We don't usually look at the close all that closely. And that's the reason behind that is because, think about it like a race, if you will. The race starts at the open, not the close. How many times have you seen a stock? We give this example all the time, but it's good to repeat it. How many times have you seen a stock gap open, gap up on the open? So you might buy it, but if it sells off from the open, you're just going to do nothing but lose money. So we track price based on how it moves from the opening price, and we're looking for historical reference for support and resistance. We always include the highs and lows. All right, so I've shared the spreadsheet with you all. I'm going to add Micron to it when I get a chance today. If you have the roadmap, the trade tracker is under tables. It's all in alphabetical orders, tables, trade tracker. All right, just build yourself a new trade tracker with your stocks, or you could include the same stocks that we have on the algo spreadsheet that I posted in the chat a moment ago. I will add the spreadsheet to the slide deck as well. I'm going to write down these reminders so I can explain, or not explain, but so I can remind myself to do that. I will post the slides again in just a moment. Another great question hit the chat just now, and we'll explain that. Okay. Stan says, can you describe again, how do you use the week start high and low with the other columns? Absolutely. So if you just look at this right here, the first 4 columns, you know that these stocks are strong for painting a picture higher for the month. And look, the S&P right there just went above SPX. This literally just happened. XPX and XSP just went above their 3-day high. Let's scroll up a little bit, see if the futures have done so. Yeah, futures have a little bit more work to do. The NASDAQ looks good today. The S&P looks good today. In the back of our mind, we're still thinking, hey, we got the Fed tomorrow, so you can't get aggressive now. But seeing these markets perk up some before the Fed is certainly a better sign than the opposite, right? So you can't get too aggressive right now because we have the Fed tomorrow. Don't forget about that. But it is nice to see these S&P and NASDAQ related markets perking up some. Diamond's got a little work to do. But you can see here across the board on the first 4, that's painting the picture for the month. What's the monthly trend more likely to be than not? And if it's green across the board for the first 4, that means the stock's above the 3-day high for the month and looking strong. If I expand this more, the week start is, again, just a narrow time frame. So question, if a stock is strong for the month, but you haven't entered yet, and we enter into a new week, we want to use the week start high and low to help our entry point. Because we know that a stock doesn't go straight up, all right? It might meander higher. And we also know on a monthly basis, if it's above the 3-day high, it should try to go higher. But on a week-to-week basis, right, if a stock is above the 3-day high, but on the week, it's trading below Monday's low, if it's trading below Monday's range, the trend for the week, that trend that was established for the month is not continuing that week. It might just be trading sideways, or it might just be fully retracing, right? So we use that Monday high and low to kind of help our entry and our trading strategies intra-week, whether you're managing a position or whether you're entering a new position. So that's how we incorporate it into the 3-day algo. Another question from the spreadsheet says, you have the October open posted there, but not the November open. And yes, that's because it's the quarterly open. The quarterly open, the final quarter of the year, Tom used that October open. That's kind of like a secondary year open, just because we're so far away from the year open. We entered into that final quarter of the year, it has a little bit more relevance to us, the October Open, than some of the other quarterly opens, like the second quarter open, third quarter open, that sort of thing. October Open has more relevance. So we put it on the spreadsheet. We don't usually have that. Usually we'll have the year open in that place there, Buck, which we'll have once we get to January, of course. All right, but we're so far, typically by, not always, but typically by October, we're so far away from the year open that it has a little bit less relevance to us. So we just factor that in with the October open. I'm glad you asked. We are recording on YouTube. I'm going to type the link for the YouTube channel in here. DTItrader.com/YouTube. All right, DTItrader.com/YouTube. And I didn't showcase the way it looked yesterday. So let me just do that real quick. Let me see if I can add this to the deal here. Yeah, you can see that DTItrader.com/YouTube. You can see we're live right now. We're live right now. I'm just trying to get my marker out. We're live right now, but there's also right above that, there is a actual live tab. All right, and if you click on the live tab, it's going to showcase not only the live session going on now, but you can see the past sessions we did. So there's Train and Trade from yesterday. Here's the Sunday planning session from Sunday. This must be Train and Trade from Friday. You can kind of see how this works. We go live every day for Train and Trade on YouTube, and Tom goes live Sunday night for the planning session on YouTube and Wednesday night for Wednesday on the web. So tomorrow night's Wednesday on the web, or also called Midweek Market Update. That's at 8 p.m. So I'm going to just remind everybody when these live sessions happen. To start the week, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel, Tom goes live for his weekly planning session. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Tom's live again for live trading, or not live trading, for Train and Trade, for these Train and Trade sessions. And then for Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, he goes live for a midweek market update. Those are all live on the YouTube channel. DTItrader.com/YouTube will get you there. And then if you like and subscribe, you can see I'm subscribed, and you can turn your notifications on, whether you're on the web-based platform or on your phone. If you turn your notifications on, you'll be alerted anytime Tom goes live. All right, so let's go back to this spreadsheet here. I'm going to play a quick video on the Tuesday Power Play service. Hopefully you learned something today. Get an inside look at what we do with the first 3-day algo, but also on a weekly basis with Tuesday Power Plays. Tom wanted us to review that today. Always good review. And reminder, if you're still unsure about when to enter, right? We have this framework for the month and for the week. If you're still unsure about when to enter, that's where tape reading comes into play. And Tom's going to discuss that during tomorrow's 11 a.m. Eastern Time Train and Trade. So thanks again for being here. All you live trading with T-Buzz folks, we'll see you at 1:30. Talk about more about the 3-day algo and the week start process. Thanks for all the feedback. Enjoyed being here. And let me find the video of Tuesday Power Plays, and we'll get that going. And we'll see you all here tomorrow morning, 11 a.m.